Okay. Well, good afternoon. I'm Martin Tyner with Enoch Wildlife Rescue, and I know it's a strange look for me. I don't have a bird on my arm, but we got the birds here, so we're going to get to that in just a minute. Um, this is our 28th anniversary for Southwest Wildlife Foundation and now Enoch Wildlife Rescue, and so this is going to be kind of hopefully a kind of a give and take. Talk to everybody, answer questions that you might have about our organization, maybe tell a few stories on how we got started. We've got our wildlife ambassadors. I've got Scout my golden eagles right next to me here. On the perch by the television is where Piper is sitting, and I have Helen, the peregrine falcon, and Belle, the Harris hawk, downstairs. And so, whatever birds you guys want to see, we
Uh-oh.
just free. Oh, Sue. So,
Microwave.
The microwave made you
okay,
wake up?
sorry everybody. Anytime we turn on the microwave, it shuts down my Wi-Fi.
This girl's dehydrated.
Use hot water.
I will do that.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Like I said, our internet here is not the best in the West, and ever since we changed internet providers, if I use my microwave, my internet shuts off. Why, I don't know. It just does that. So anyway, we're going to have some fun here. We're going to talk about some critters. The reason Susan turned on the microwave is some folks just barely pulled up with a young ground squirrel, I believe, and is severely dehydrated. And Susan wanted to warm up a little bit of food for it to see if we can get it off and started. And so they're just right next to me here in the kitchen. And so if you hear other voices, that's kind of what's going on. We're, like I said, rescue critters. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so, DG, how do you want to go?
Well, we got a whole lot of greetings here. Donnie Williams says greetings. Edward says hello. Tricia says hello, congratulations. Puppy Flight says what birds are in rescue now and why. Florence says, yay, Scout. Patricia says, hi, guys. M127, hello from the UK.
Hey, guys, thank you for joining us. The birds that are in rescue right now is a subadult golden eagle and a juvenile sharp-shinned hawk. And so that's all we've got in the rescue right now. This time of year, we're kind of at a transition point. All of the orphans that we have raised and we've now returned back to the wild, all the Swainson's hawks are gone. They're migrating to Argentina. So the migrants are starting to come through. And so it's kind of a little bit of a transition point where we don't have quite as many animals here at the rescue center that we have, especially in the spring and summer, which is a very, very good thing. We can use a little bit of rest, and we're in the process of getting Piper and Belle and Scout up and running for the hunting season. And so we go out every day with those guys and get them their exercise and get them into the training routine. So they'll be ready to fly this year. And so it's still really quite busy, but our focus has kind of changed a little bit. We're still doing a lot of educational programs, and that seems to almost never stop. But the educational programs are one of the most important things that we do.
So we already got a donation from an anonymous source of $20. So
Thank you.
this will be a good time to mention that all donations made through this YouTube live stream are 100% to the foundation. YouTube covers all the other costs and whatever, so we get 100% of your donation.
Absolutely. And so we certainly, like I said, we live on donations. That's how we survive. I hear the squirrel squeaking as Susan's trying to feed it.
And we got a letter. People are always welcome to send notes in advance of the live stream. This one's from June Francis. We are looking forward to the live broadcast. How many critters have been cared for at Enoch Wildlife Rescue since its opening? Are there always critters there in various stages of release? Is your list of volunteers still growing? We will donate $100 to the critters. But especially we want to say a big thank you very much for Martin, Susan, DG, and all the volunteers that spend countless hours and love at the Enoch Wildlife Rescue. From Don and June Francis.
Well, thank you, Don and June. We greatly appreciate your donation. The numbers that we've done, I apologize. I'd have to actually go back to the logbooks and actually count them. I really am not sure how many animals have come through in the last year and a half through our wildlife rescue, but it's been quite a few. And the volunteers, yes, Susan and DG and Dixie and Spencer, and we are getting more and more volunteers that are helping us. We got a lot more than that. That's just some that came to the top of my head real quick. They are really helping pick up some of the slack that Susan and I can't do alone. And so we're very, very grateful for all of our volunteers, and we're always looking for more. We're actually, I'll just kind of announce this, we're actually looking for someone with the proper skill sets to come in and help run my foundation. And so if there's anybody out there that has organizational skills and wildlife skills and educational skills and those kinds of things that would like to maybe even turn it into a job, I can't promise a great salary, but we are looking for people that we can hire. We're moving to the next step. We basically went from just Susan and I to being able to have volunteers, to developing the Enoch Wildlife Rescue Center, and now we're looking at the possibility of getting it. You gonna grab okay. Say hi, Sue.
Hi, I'll be back in a minute.
So anyway, that's the next step, is to get some paid staff, so that when Susan and I are no longer here, that there will be a wildlife rescue center into perpetuity here in the state of Utah. So that's another big part of what we're trying to do. I'm just curious. I don't know how many of you folks know the story of how the Enoch Wildlife Rescue Center got started. And if you have an interest, I'd be more than happy to kind of walk you through, how and why we started our Southwest Wildlife Foundation, Enoch Wildlife Rescue, up to the current date. If you're interested in a story like that, if you'd like to see one of the birds, I'll grab one of the birds. What would you guys like to see?
So we get a vote on story time and on bird time then?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we're waiting for some replies and a little bit of delay time. We've got 2 donations that came in. Elise donated $5 and Dirty Dragon donated $5.
Thank you, guys. That's wonderful. That's a meal for an eagle or one of my large hawks or owls. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
So far, I'm not seeing votes for which wildlife ambassador we want to see first. Maybe everybody's forgotten who they are. Maybe we should remind the choices.
Absolutely. You want to put up the picture of the 4?
Oh yeah, right here, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Basically, left to right, The big beautiful guy with the beautiful yellow eyes, that is Scout. That's our golden eagle. And Scout and I've been together now for about 20, close to 20 years now, and he's a dear friend. And a farmer up in Wyoming was threatening to shoot him, and I always called him to rescue him. And he means the world to me. He's such an amazing animal to work with. Next to Scout is Belle. That's a Harris hawk, and Belle is my most efficient hunter. But that picture is her juvenile picture. She looks a lot different now in her adult color. And then we have Helen, the peregrine falcon, next to Belle, and then next to Helen is Piper, the prairie falcon. And they're all here that we can grab and bring them out to show you if you guys would like to see them.
Well, so far we've gotten the most votes for bird, so I think maybe people aren't so picky.
Okay,
But we did have a question about Scout, and the next most wanted is Scout. So,
well, let me grab Scout, and while you ask me a question.
okay, so here is a question we got from Roy's place. Oops, it just went away. Martin, when's the last time you took out Scout for a long flight?
Well, basically, it was last winter because we have a hunting season and we're not allowed to fly them through the spring and summer. So we're just starting to get them back in shape. So they'll be ready to go this winter as well. How big guy? Yes, you're such a good boy. So he's just been, for the last few months, just a big lazy couch potato. Just kind of hanging out and traveling with me doing shows.
So can we talk about why Scouts may be a little different today than expected?
Different today than expected?
Because of someone else who's around?
Oh, yeah. Scouts bonded to me. And, Susan, Susan is wonderful with the animals, but she has a bit of a nervous personality. And that nervousness makes Scout nervous. And so he gets a little edgy when Susan comes around.
Someone said something here. Let her use the microwave.
And I don't know where Susan went, but my phone's ringing, but I'm not going to answer it. She's, like I said, people came in with a squirrel that was very ill.
Keyhole K8 says, hello, everyone. Happy 28th anniversary.
Well, thank you. It's really hard to believe that the Wildlife Foundation has been going for 28 years. It's I would have never, in my wildest dreams, thought that we could achieve the things that we have achieved.
Here we go. Tara says, share whatever you want here. I think that's in regards to story time as well.
Okay. Well, let's start with why and how Southwest Wildlife Foundation Enoch Wildlife Rescue came to be. I've been caring for sick, injured, and orphaned wildlife for more than 50 years. And basically started when I was 12 years old. And we had a baby barn owl that was brought to me. And that's what really sparked the beginning of my wildlife rescue career. And I won't go through the whole story because it would take too long. But if you want to read the story about the barn owl that started my career as a wildlife rehabilitator, the story is in my book, Healer of Angels. But anyway, as we've gone along here, when we moved here to Utah, I offered my services. We've been here for 46 and a half years we've been here in Utah, and I offered my services as a licensed wildlife rehabilitator and educator. And the Fish and Game started bringing animals to me, eagles and hawks and falcons and owls and, coyotes and deer and foxes and different kinds of critters to care for. And when people found out that I was willing to not only take care of the injured wildlife, but I would provide free programs for the schools, the scouts, community events um, here in Cedar City. And then the request started to expand out to throughout Utah and then throughout much of the Western United States. And I was traveling a great deal. My wife and I owned a pet store and a dog grooming shop is how we made our living. And we still own the dog grooming shop is how we make our living. But I was gone a lot doing the educational programs, which means I had to hire an employee to take my place while I was gone doing shows. And a pet store in a small town in southern Utah is not a great way to make a living. And what it ended up to be after a few years is we were broke. The word got out that I was doing these educational programs, and I was getting calls from all over the Western United States. And because we weren't a 501c3 nonprofit organization, it wasn't legal for me to accept donations. And so every penny, we wore out, I think, 3 different automobiles, traveling, doing the shows, all the maintenance, all the gas, all the feeding the animals, all the veterinary bills and everything was being financed by my little pet store. And the little pet store was barely enough to keep my little family going, let alone take care of all the animals. And so one day, my accountant basically told me, he says, "Martin, you're done." He says, you can't pay the rent on your business space. You can't pay your mortgage. You can't even feed your family. He says, "You're done. You can't do this wildlife rescue thing anymore, and wildlife education. It's just it's killing you, and it's taking food out of your children's mouths, and you just got to stop." And so I decided I needed to sit down and talk to Susan. And so I took her out to, I don't remember if it was McDonald's or Taco Bell, or I took her out for dinner. And I sat across the table from her, and I broke the news to her. I says, we are all but bankrupt, and I can't do this anymore. I can't take care of these animals. I can't provide the educational programs. My sweet wife and my children have sacrificed enough. I just have to stop. And Susan reached across the table and grabbed my hand, and she looked at me and she says, "No." Says, "You can't stop." And says, the wildlife rescue and wildlife education, that's who you are. And we will figure out a way in order to pay the bills. And I told her that I just didn't see a way possible to do that. And so we sat down with the accountant, and Susan was adamant. She didn't want me to stop doing this because there was nobody else within hundreds of miles that could do this. And so she basically, with talking to our accountant, says, what can we do? How can we possibly do this and cover our costs? And our accountant basically says, well, it's expensive, but you can um, register as a 501c3 nonprofit. Don't bring her through here, Sue. Don't let her get closer. Scout can see her.
Get her a knuckle bone and put her in a cage, okay?
Okay. She's brought in our new puppy, Sage.
Actually, I'll put her back outside with a knuckle bone.
So anyway, we talked to the accountant, and he laid out all of the costs of setting up a nonprofit and all the paperwork and all the hoops you had to jump through to be able to do this. And it was money we didn't have. It was money that we couldn't possibly afford. But we tightened our belts tighter and filled out the paperwork, paid all the fees, and paid the accountant, and we became Southwest Wildlife Foundation. And becoming Southwest Wildlife Foundation, the main advantage was that we could accept donations. If I did a program and somebody says, here's $10, I could accept that. And up until that point in time, it wasn't legal for us to accept donations for our wildlife rescue work.
Well, speaking of donations, let's get Roy's place. We have some donations here in the YouTube live stream. Anonymous donated $5. Another anonymous $5 donation. Deborah Thatcher donated $20. Stoic Mom donated $100. And Keyhole K8 donated $30.
Wow! Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Like I said, that's exactly what keeps us alive is your kindness and generosity, and so thank you for the donations. So anyway, that's how the paperwork part of the foundation got started. Is that we didn't have a choice. We had to basically either not take care of injured wildlife anymore and stop doing the wildlife programs, or we had to find a way that we could receive donations to help us do what we do. And, that was 28 years ago today. 28 years ago today, I didn't think it would work. I didn't think there's any way in the world that we could, that we could get donations enough to offset the cost of the wildlife rescue and wildlife education. And we did every little festival, every garage sale, I don't care, every school, every community event. We'd sit out with the animals and let them look at information about the wildlife and see the wildlife ambassadors and who we're working with. And, quite frequently, the donations were minimal. I mean, I could spend 4 days at our local Renaissance fair here in Cedar City and be happy if I came out with $200. 4 days, 8-10 hours a day. And so it was very, very minor, the amount of money that we made, very minimal. But, it kind of got to the point, and this is where I considered we were having success, is it got to the point where at the end of the month, all the bills for Southwest Wildlife Foundation were paid, and there was still $1,000 in the bank. And what that basically meant is I had enough money to buy food and supplies for next month. And so we had money a month ahead. And the stress started to relieve a little bit that we had a little bit in the bank. Um, and so we continue to do the programs, and it's because of very kind and generous people like you, we continued. And then after that, our local power company, Rocky Mountain Power, um, we've been doing this for a few years now, and then Rocky Mountain Power, uh, I was visiting with them one day and asked them about the old property where the power plant was. It was basically abandoned property, but it was a beautiful property. It was in the canyon, stream, waterfall, really a nice place. And they had no plans for it. And I asked them about, would they be interested in donating to us, and that we could start raising money for a wildlife rescue center and a nature park. Now I'm not going to go through the whole story, but it took a couple of years and a lot of work. And Rocky Mountain Power donated the property to us to build a wildlife rescue center and nature park. And that was a big boost, huh, Scout, to us. And then from that point on, it became incredibly difficult because now we're trying to take care of the property and do programs and things for our Cedar Canyon Nature Park, and the expenses went sky high. But we were managing. We were staying barely above water, but we were managing. And then I won't go into the whole sort of story, but Cedar City, the city didn't want a nature park, and they didn't want a wildlife rescue facility, and they made it impossible for us to continue. And so when Enoch, because this is Enoch where I live, I walk across the street, we're in the Cedar City limits. This side of the street's Enoch. And when Enoch found out what Cedar City had done, the mayor and the city manager and the city council of Enoch contacted me, and they said, Mr. Tyner, please don't move. You've been a major asset to our community for more than 40 years. What can Enoch do to help you? And so Enoch leased us a small piece of ground just a couple of miles down the road from us to build a permanent wildlife rescue facility. And they leased me the property for $1 a year for the next 100 years, and the right to renew the lease twice at the same price. And so with that incredible amount of generosity from the city of Enoch, where I live, it gave me the confidence to go ahead and let's build a world-class wildlife rescue center. And we started letting everybody know, and with certainly a lot of help from DG, with the social media side of it, and all of you folks out there, your donations came in, and within a couple of years, we had raised $800,000 to build a permanent wildlife rescue center. And that's our new wildlife rescue center that we have to this day. And for all of you that would like to come for a visit, please, October 11th, we're going to have an open house. We've got a lot of activities planned, and we would love to have all of you come over and say hi and see the wildlife ambassadors and visit and see our rescue center and the work that we do. So October 11th this year, it's going to run all day long, I think from 10 to 5, I think is what the hours are. And it's a great opportunity to come and visit and be a part of what you guys did, because it really is because of all of you that we have this new rescue center.
Speaking of that, we've got more donations to note. Elora, $15. Carol donated $25, and another anonymous donation of $20.
Oh, well, thank you so much, guys. That's amazing. And I'm going to put Scout away because my sweet, beautiful wife wants to come and join us. Oh, and she's got Helen on her glove. I did wonderful. So she'll bring Helen over. But let me get Scout put away. Oh, we're good. Okay, come on over, Sue. And you can sit in that chair.
Just figured that way you could take him outside, put him back in his big place.
Hey, Helen, how's my girl? How's my pretty girl? This what's going on, Dad?
Helen's been really good. She's let me handle her, and Spencer's been handling her more and helping provide the educational programs. Nobody handles them more than Martin or better than Martin. Never will. He's the best, but he's teaching us how. So I'm able to actually take her off from the perch downstairs and put her outside and, hook her up safely to the perch outside. Is her breakfast out there waiting for her?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Didn't want to put it out until she was ready to eat it.
Didn't want one of the neighborhood cats to get it.
Yeah.
So we got this. Trisha says, "Yay, Helen," and Elise says, "Yay, Helen," but I'm not seeing any of the "Yay, Susans." Those must not have come through yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Helen's more important.
Yeah. I mean, this sweet young lady is the reason that I didn't quit.
Here we
Because she
go.
had the
Patricia, hi, Susan and Helen. There we go.
Thank Tricia.
and so people give me a lot of credit for the work that I do, and that's wonderful. But the truth of the matter is, if it wasn't for Susan and her strength and her determination, that what we're doing is of great value with the wildlife rescue, I was done. And I'm so grateful that she stood beside me and encouraged me to keep going.
Did you tell him about you took me to dinner and what you told me?
I did.
And I says, no, you have to continue to be the man I married.
Got to speak up, so.
You got to continue to be the man I married. That's who you are. You're a falconer. You take care of birds and you teach people about them. And you did all of those before you met me. And that's part of why I fell in love with him. So he says, I can't let you stop. He says, I will help you. So now when I get discouraged, I can't blame anyone but me.
Okay, ready for some questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we've got here from Donnie. I live in San Antonio, Texas. Do you have any idea where I can find birds of prey just to look? I mainly see turkey vultures.
Go out into your agricultural areas. Throughout Texas, there are a lot of raptors, a lot of birds of prey. You're going to find them primarily on the power poles around the agricultural areas is where you're going to find them. And so take your significant other, like I've done with mine for so many times, and just go for a nice Sunday drive, pack a picnic lunch, grab your binoculars, and just, like I said, drive out through the agricultural areas and watch the power poles, and also watch the trees, because in the wintertime when there's not a lot of leaves on the trees, you'll see quite a few raptors sitting in the trees. You'll see there's quite a few osprey in the Texas area. You find those primarily around water areas like the Gulf and some of the larger lakes throughout Texas. The Harris hawk, there is a Harris hawk, again, agricultural areas, that is very much the same as Bell, my Harris hawk, but we call them the Texas variety. They're a little bit smaller than the Arizona variety. And you also have black hawks down there. You have kites. You've got the black vultures and the turkey vultures. We just have the turkey vultures here. And so there's a lot of wildlife in Texas, but you have to kind of take the time to go look.
So I got a question for Susan. I see you looking at Helen, and I'm wondering, is that the biggest bird that you're comfortable with to be sitting with like that?
Yeah. I didn't even want to sit by Martin when he was holding Scout because I know Scout doesn't like me. So no, this This is about as big as I'm comfortable with. I could hold Piper or Belle because they're both really good birds. But I figured Helen needs the attention more, and she can't go out hunting and flying. So we've been, Spencer and I have been handling her. And has Dixie handled her a little bit? I think.
I think so.
And Dixie's been handling and teaching about the owl mostly. But we're little by little, some of our volunteers that we really trust that have been there for us and have good temperaments, aptitudes towards the birds. Mine wasn't natural. Martin's been patient with me. So not something just anybody can do.
I don't know if you've noticed or not, but Susan's wearing
a new shirt.
This is Scout the Golden Eagle. And we're working with our technical college here in town to make these. And so we have, let me go ahead and grab some of them.
Oh, you saw where I put them. I thought that might be too much.
Nope, I saw them. So we're going to grab them.
Just one at a time, or however you want to do it.
Okay. That's Scout the Golden Eagle. This is Whisper the Screech Owl. And here you go. This is Helen, our peregrine falcon, right here next to us.
Baby.
That's you.
Yep,
that's your picture, sweetie. That's my girl. Huh. And so that's our peregrine. This is Piper, our prairie falcon. And so these are all of our wildlife ambassadors we're putting on these T-shirts. And that's Belle, the Harris hawk, in flight. And
did we show Whisper already?
I showed Whisper already.
Okay, these are some of our originals that we have just a few left.
Yeah, we only have a few of these left.
It's the first shirt we ever produced.
Yeah, it was that one right there. We've only got a couple of them left.
I think just in small and medium.
But that is Bud, the golden eagle that started the Southwest Wildlife Foundation with me. And this is also Bud with our Southwest Wildlife Foundation logo.
And we only have a few of these left in extra large. We might have a medium, but mostly extra large. So, hi, baby. But no, Dixie has been working on our calendar for us this year. Dixie Henry is a beautiful photographer. Just like she has more time for it than Martin does. Martin wishes he could get out and do that, but Dixie took pictures for our calendar this year, and so all of the pictures on the shirts are pictures Dixie took because she wanted to feature our wildlife ambassadors. And we took a tour through our technical college, Southwest Technical College, and them, Cedar City Chamber of Commerce and Business, and Southern Utah University. They have put together an innovation center where they are helping small businesses in our area and nonprofits make some promotional things. And so they've given us a tour of all of the things they can do and help us learn how to do. And we can reserve the heat press. We're going to do that tomorrow. They started printing these. These are sublimation prints, and the shirts are 100% polyester, so they stick really nicely and they don't fade out. But we have to use light colored shirts or the picture won't show up. And their sublimation printer went out when they only printed a few things for us. And it wasn't just broken, they had to replace it. So they've got it working, and we're scheduled tomorrow to print the rest. He's been printing the shirts, and we'll go put the heat press, so we'll have them ready for our open house. So we'll have them like children's large, medium large, extra large, and adults small through 3X. So I'm wearing a large. I could wear a medium or a large. But that's the only one we had made of the eagle. Hi, Helen. I know I'm not paying attention to you. Yes, you're such a pretty girl. In fact, she's really cute. When Spencer does programs with her, we're doing them every Wednesday. she's gotten comfortable enough with him now that she'll just hang on to his glove and start flapping her wings, and he'll just hold the glove out a little bit and let her just exercise. And she flaps and just as happy as can be. And then she does a roust. So she enjoys the attention. She enjoys being part of the educational programs. Don't you, sweetie? But she didn't want me to look away from her and talk about something else.
Dirty Dragon asks, how many volunteers do you have to care for the critters?
The ones with keys that help us feed, there's 2. And that's Trisha and Dixie. They frequently will help go out, do you need us to feed critters today? And they can clean up and stuff out there too. And as far as helping with the educational programs, it's Spencer and Dixie. And Spencer has been volunteering in a lot of areas and doing wonderful, but we have a limited number of keys out there. Trisha's our volunteer coordinator, and Dixie is our vice president, and she's been putting in so much time with the animals and helping us. It's been incredible. And then we've got a large number. I've got about 100 just on my email list of volunteers, and I just put out a post yesterday. I emailed the people on our list, and I've got people showing up this afternoon between 3 and 5 to help me with inside and outside. We've been pulling weeds all summer long, August, September. We've hauled away 5 pickup loads, bagged, smashed down weeds, and about 10 SUV loads, like the back of our tractor or whatever. And we've got someone with the tractor coming out this afternoon and this week to clear off the rest of them for us. Get ready. So we have lots of volunteers. In fact, a mother emailed me this morning and she says, I have a 17-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son that would really love to volunteer. How do you, she wanted to make sure it was okay before she brought him. And I says, as long as a parent is with the kids, and I think 8 is about as young as I would take, because younger than that is really too hard to keep track of. But I says, we'd love to have you come. So
we've got a few more donations to note. Falcon donated $50. Anonymous donated $100. And that's all for now, but they're coming in.
Well, thank you guys. That, like I said, that is your generosity is the reason the Enoch Wildlife Rescue Center exists. It's because of you guys, and we're have made some tremendous strides because of everything you guys have done for us.
You want to go bring up Belle, and then I can take Helen out when you come up with Belle. I don't know how you want to do the switch.
Sure, if you want, or you can just take her back down.
I can put her outside, but it'll take me a minute.
Yeah. Well, go put her outside. When you come back in, then I'll go get Belle.
Okay. See you in a few.
Well, we have a question about Scout from before. Tracy asks, you said that you have had Scout around for 20 years. How long do golden eagles live?
In the wild, the average life expectancy in the wild is about 20 years. So as a wild eagle, Scout's an old man. But in captivity, because we reduce a lot of the threats to their lives, it's not uncommon for an eagle to go as much as 60 years in captivity. And so there's a fairly good chance that he will be here for another 40 years.
Deborah says, Martin, there are several Harris hawks around in my area of Scottsdale, Arizona. I see that they go after pigeons that have taken shelter on our rooftops. What are their primary sources of food? Well,
Harris hawks are primary sources of food. They're extremely adaptable. And so they eat a lot of cottontails. They eat jackrabbits, ground squirrels, field mice, gophers, voles. So a lot of the small to medium-sized rodents, that's their major food source. But they're agile enough that they will catch pigeons and maybe even a mourning dove or a ringneck dove or something along those lines. If you have some waterfowl coming through, they can certainly catch a duck. They can certainly catch a pheasant or a chukar. The smaller Harris hawks, the males, will take quite a few quail. So they eat a real variety of foods. They also eat small snakes and small lizards as well.
UK Freedom Fighter says anyone else love birds so much that they think they were a bird in a previous life.
Well, I don't think I was a bird in a previous life. But you have to understand, I have a passion for anything that flies, and so I have a pilot's license. I've flown everything from hang gliders and paragliders and ultralights to full size sailplanes to full size um, aircraft, and so anytime I can get my feet off the ground, that's something I really love to do. It's wonderful.
Oh, someone's coming up to the
Yep,
house.
somebody else is coming soon. I saw him pull up. Like I said, never stops.
Tara reminds us that, well, at the time she wrote this, there was, or he or she wrote it, there's 51 likes. We're currently at 76 likes, so we got to do the YouTube thing and ask more people to tap that like button.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the like button is a great thing. Um, I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I guess it tells YouTube that people like us and they raise our up in priority or something along those lines.
Yeah, that sounds it exactly, and all those technical terms you use.
Yeah.
This is from a while back when you were telling your story about the initial days of the foundation. Dirty Dragon said, Martin is making me cry with his heartfelt story. Thank you, Susan.
Susan is she's an amazing young lady. Uh, we've been married for 47 years. This February will be 48 years. Um, why she puts up with me, I have no idea, but I'm so grateful that she does. And none of this would have been possible um, without her. She's the heart of the whole operation.
Patricia says, you need to take care of you first because you can't take care of them if you're not in good health.
Okay, well let me say something right away, so you guys hope you make you feel better. For those that remember that I had a fairly serious heart situation, and my heart is now functioning at a level that they call low normal. And so I'm up in the normal range, just the lower of the normal range for my heart. And so that's a huge improvement to where I was, a couple of years ago. Um, my kidney disease is better. I'm instead of stage 3, I'm kind of a low stage 2. So my kidneys have improved. My diabetes is now is pre-diabetic, and so my A1C has come down. My blood pressure is perfect, and my pulse is perfect. My lungs are working perfectly well, and so we're still trying to deal with the genetic weight situation. We go for walks every day. I've got a new Brittany that we just adore, and she keeps us running, trying to keep up with her. And so we're getting lots of exercise, lot of activities. Um, I've told people this many times. This is I come from very bad genetics. Um, the men in our family start passing away in their late 50s, and nobody makes it to 70. And I'll be 70 in December. And this is the first time in a number of years um, that I feel very confident that I will break the family curse and that I will go 70 and beyond. So thank you for your concern, but we are taking all the steps necessary to stay in good health.
Well, I think didn't you say that the deal with Enoch was 100 years, right? So I mean, you're gonna have to go to at least what 100 and something, right? Because you only just a couple years ago got that lease. So how do we figure 100 years from that lease started? As long as you're gonna have to live, right?
Well, not only that 100 years, but you have to remember on the lease, I can renew the lease at the same price twice. And so we've actually got the property for 300 years.
Well, that's gonna take a little bit more work to live that long.
That's true.
But yeah, that's a good goal to shoot for. I mean, just to try to outlive the lease from the city of Enoch, that should be in good shape. Then you can work, and you can start making a deal, right? Because I mean, after those 300 years, you're gonna have to figure out some sort of new deal. I mean, what did they charge you? $100. So
$100 a year.
I mean, that's pretty high. Maybe get that down. Think about that in the next 300 years, how you can get a better deal.
Well, I can, in 300 years, I'll talk to him.
So we're gonna get to see Belle, right? It's already almost 50 minutes into the presentation, and we're only.
Okay. Susan, somebody came up, and I don't know where Susan's gone, but I'll go down and get Belle.
Okay, and can I play one of my favorite little tapes of Belle and Cody while you're doing that?
You bet.
All right, here we go. Oops, sorry. Technical difficulties. We didn't actually have it. Oh, my bad. I can't do that because we had a computer meltdown, so everything that was used to be here is now gone. So, oh well. We'll just have to wait patiently while Martin gets Belle. And Susan's going to talk to us, it looks like.
Oh, sorry, I talked too long outside. Are we still on? Okay. And it was one of my volunteers. She came to get some T-posts. She's going to put up some more banners. We've been putting them around town. But let me show you our calendar. Martin hasn't done this yet, has he?
Don't think so.
So this is Scout on the cover for 2026. They just came last week. And then we've got Whisper in January. Better hurry. Piper February. Helen in March. The Gray Fox in April. I think, is it? Yeah. And Osprey. Eagle. Now this is an eagle trying to catch a raven. We have a pair of eagles that nest here, and the ravens harass them all the time. So Dixie was able to capture a beautiful photograph. So I'm just quickly showing you. There's Belle. And wait, no, I missed somebody. There's a flicker, northern flicker, and then just some inside information. So in the quick view, I'm going to set it down. Let Martin sit down and quit wiggling.
Look at Belle. Good girl. Hi, babe. Well, here's Belle. This is our Harrow's hawk, and you find these in southern Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And though she is a Sonoran bird, so she's a Arizona bird. And she's my most efficient hunter. On a good year, she'll catch between 80 and 100 jackrabbits. And she eats all that she wants. And then we bring the rest of the red back to our rescue center, butchered out as food for the Indigenous wildlife that we care for. So she helps provide food for everybody else.
Got a comment from Lynn. I've donated every year for the past 5 years directly to your foundation. I give gladly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, like I said, it's people like you that is the reason that our foundation exists today. And it is truly my hope. You know, we talked about, we have a lease with Enoch for 100 years and a right to renew the lease for another 100 years twice. And so that's 300 years. And I feel very confident if we can get the right people to step in to take over and start running the foundation, that's a very realistic goal. And in fact, at our rescue center, when we had the grand opening at the rescue center, we buried a time capsule at the rescue center. And so in 100 years, I hope that they will dig up the time capsule. And there's some very precious items for me in the time capsule. Um, Bud, the eagle that started our wildlife foundation, he and I were together for 16 years. And he was bitten by a mosquito and died of West Nile. Anyway, Bud, his personal items, his glove, his bells, his jesses, his hood, are in the time capsule. And we have the first flyer we ever made. We have a copy of our book, Healer of Angels, in the time capsule. We have some newspaper clippings and some information about the foundation and how it got started. And so hopefully 100 years from now, they'll pull out the time capsule and be able to put on display, all of the artifacts that we put in the time capsule.
Put in that first T-shirt we ever made.
Oh yeah, the first T-shirt.
Like he says, nothing expensive, valuable, but personal, valuable, history valuable, very important and special.
M127 says, I know Belle does, but do many birds wag their tails when happy?
Belle, the Harris hawk especially, the species, they're very, very animated. And so Belle does wag her tail a lot. She's, just really a silly creature. Scout would be my golden eagle. Personality-wise, they're very, very similar between my Harris hawk and my golden eagle. They're both incredibly intelligent. They, even though it's not because they like me that they come back to me, but they do like me, and so we actually have a relationship with, like I said, the Harris hawk and my golden eagle that's quite unique.
Tricia says Belle is a rock star.
Yes, she is. She's a beautiful young lady, and we just enjoy her to no end. She's just, it's an honor to have her as my friend.
Falcon says beautiful long tail on Belle.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the trademarks of the Harris hawk. Very, very long tail. It's very maneuverable. That's what she steers with, which makes her extremely agile. You can see how much her tail moves here. Kind of wind her up in the morning to get her started. But that's what makes her so agile and makes her such an efficient hunter. She doesn't fly high like the falcon does and dive. She leaves my glove and goes straight at the rabbit or whatever she's chasing, zigzagging through the brush with that tremendous maneuverability, and binds to the animal that she's trying to catch.
I have a Harris hawk question.
Yeah.
It's two-part. One part is they asked about Belle wagging her tail. Harris hawks do that quite a bit more than other species, don't they?
Yes.
The other part of the question is it because they're a pack animal? They hunt in a family group like a pack where all the others are pretty much more independent? Does that have anything to do with the more body language?
Well, again, they do hunt in a pack. That's very, very unique for birds of prey. But I don't think it's as much a pack thing as an intelligence thing. Because they're so smart, and they really do have a lot of personality to them.
They do. You're incredible, Belle. You are a pretty girl. And she will tolerate other people to hold her, but mostly she loves Martin. Belle, you're a good girl.
Penny says, hi, Belle. She is a Southern belle.
She is, and that's actually why we named her Belle, because she came out of a breeding project in Louisiana. And so sweet young ladies in the South are referred to as Southern belles, and so we named her Belle.
Jay says, greetings from Europe, Croatia. I admire your work.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for checking in on us. I love to have so many friends from literally all over the world. And if you ever get a chance to come to the States, please don't be shy. give us a call. I'd love to show you the rescue center.
Tricia says, thanks for all you do. Much love and blessings.
Thank you so much.
And from Edward, congratulations. Grateful, so happy you've made such a positive difference and continue to do so. You're doing good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and that means a lot to me. There's a story in my book about my grandfather, and my grandfather. I lived with my grandparents quite a bit when I was young, and my grandfather, every day before he left for work, would come into my room, wake me up, and he would say the same exact words every morning. He'd wake me up and he says, "Martin, do good today. Do good." And so that's kind of my mantra. That's kind of what I base my life on, is to get up every morning and do good. So thank you.
Okay. Edward also says, time capsule is a beautiful idea, so meaningful, incredible. I pray that happens. I know it will. Very special.
Thank you.
Oops, wrong button there. And Tara, are their beaks made of like cartilage?
Their beaks are made of basically the same thing your fingernails are made out of. And so it's in fact, when you touch them, they actually kind of have a similar feeling to the feelings of your fingernails. Or in their case, their talons are made of the same kind of stuff.
Do you have to clip their talons?
In captivity, we do sometimes. In the wild, they're sitting on rocks and branches, and the friction of the perches will help keep the talons from overgrowing. In captivity, we give them padded perches, and sometimes there's not enough friction on the padded perches, and so we have to kind of go in there. At the beginning of the hunting season, what we do is we trim them to the right length, and then we sharpen them so that they're back to razor sharp where they need to be in order to catch the prey that they're hunting.
Her nails don't look too terribly long, do they?
No, her nails are just fine.
You just need to go out, huh? Catch those rabbits.
So we've hit our hour mark, but we've yet to see Piper 2, and we still have a few questions. Do you want to end, or do you want to carry on?
Piper's coming out Monday, isn't he?
Well, Piper, no, for this group to see Piper.
Oh.
Piper's right there. Yeah, let me put Belle down, and I'll bring out Piper, and we can answer a couple
Do you
more
have a different
questions.
glove for Piper? Because I can take Belle if you do.
That's okay, Belle.
Well,
You want to try? I just burned up. So I do that.
Okay, it definitely does it faster. Hey, I was proud of myself. I tied the proper falconer's knot in one try with Helen. It's taken me a long time to learn that. I'm a slow learner. Anyways, if anyone wants a custom T-shirt, you can email Susan at gowildlife.org. And if you'd like a calendar, do the same thing. Email me. And we plan on sending calendars out to we have a lot of regular generous donors, and a lot that are doing monthly donations. Sometimes you can only do a little bit, but just let me know. If you want a calendar, we're going to try and get them out to you. If we can get through the list, and we have extras too. So, yeah, Martin is much faster at moving the birds. You have his gloves right here.
Yep. Piper. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Come up. That's my
He's
boy.
like, yes, Dad, I'm ready. I'm ready to go hunting.
Okay, here's Piper. This is our little male prairie falcon. And he's actually been one of the nicest prairie falcons I've ever had. We've really loved to work with him. He flies beautifully, and he is in fact, I was hopefully going to do it today, but um, got a little short on time. But tomorrow he'll officially be flying free um, in his exercise program to get him back in shape to uh, to be hunting. So he's ready and raring to get out there and burn up the sky.
Maybe this is a good time to mention that Piper is going to be the main bird in an upcoming live stream, right? Because
Yeah, we're going to have a. Go ahead, DG. You got it up. Good.
here's the
We're good.
Indigenous Wildlife Day site.
Yes, we have started, and we hope that it catches on. Um, an Indigenous Wildlife Day. I mean, there's all sorts of days for virtually everything, but to be able to take a day to recognize our native wildlife. In fact, that picture you can see with Piper sleeping on my chest, that was like an hour after he and I got home, after I actually trapped him, and he just decided I was a nice enough person, completely wild, and he just decided he was going to take a nap with me. And so we want to celebrate our native wildlife. We don't do that nearly enough. I mean, everybody gets excited about exotics, elephants and zebras and tigers and all of those kinds of things, and they're all wonderful and we love them. But every place here within North America, we have some just truly remarkable native wildlife, and we want to encourage everybody to take the time to go out, do a little bird watching. Piper is our native falcon, where Helen the peregrine, that's the world falcon. There are peregrine and peregrine subspecies found on every continent on this planet except Antarctica.
They're still native species, but
They're a native species, but Piper is exclusively a North American falcon.
that is awesome.
And so to take the opportunity to see these guys for who they are and how magnificent they are, so we thought we'd just start an Indigenous Species Wildlife Day, and in the hopes that people will kind of pick up on that and start taking their families out and doing a little bird watching. It's here in Utah. It's actually a good time of year to take a drive. The colors are changing on the mountain, and the deer are everywhere to go spot deer or elk. The bears aren't quite in hibernation yet, so you might even see a bear. But to be able to go out and recognize our native wildlife as magnificent as they truly are.
So
And I have one more.
we could
Sorry.
probably also mention that at the site, indigenouswildlifeday.com, and the links down in the description and all that, there's also resources. There's resources to promote the day. There's flyers and things like that. And there's also a Prairie Falcon frequently asked question flyer. And there's a teacher's kit. So if you know any teachers interested in this, they can download a kit that's got like a little test and the FAQ and the information. And always you can contact Martin with any questions. And also, we have next year to think about too. So if you've got suggestions for who to feature next year, let us know as well.
That sounds awesome. That's so incredible. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to point out that all of this Indigenous Wildlife Day was DG's idea. And DG has had so many amazing ideas, and she puts in hundreds of hours every year, hundreds, maybe more than 1,000, lots. And she has donated her time, and I believe it is going on 10 years.
It has.
Yes.
Isn't that right? You've been with us about 10 years now. Isn't that
Almost.
Right, DG?
I think it's closer to maybe 6 or 7.
Oh, I thought you got involved around 2016.
I don't know. I lose track. What do I know?
That's okay. But we really appreciate her, and we wouldn't have gotten as far as we have without her incredible dedication, and thank you.
You know what? We should probably talk about this. See the two scenes? We never really mentioned that. We're using a program called eCam. So there's me. I'm right there, and there's me. There's me, and there's my dog. I'm in Arizona, in Lake Havasu City, Arizona, online using a program called Ecamm. And then Martin and Susan are at their house in Enoch, and they have called in to this Ecamm program. So now we are both on screen, and then Ecamm sends it up to YouTube, and so everybody's seeing it. So, by the way, that's how we're doing that when I'm so far from them. But here we are all together in a way.
And another thing that DG does, and I've only seen a few because I don't have enough time to watch a lot, but she is an avid kayaker. And she's got Yorkies, and she usually takes one with her, and she'll kayak all over Lake Havasu, lots and lots of places. And she always takes a trash bag, and she picks up trash everywhere she goes. And they're actually fascinating. She'll take videos and pictures of wildlife that she sees. And she has started a YouTube channel where she actually has some of those. And I've seen links on some of our YouTube videos afterwards that you can go to hers and watch that. So if you just want a really soothing, relaxing video to chill and enjoy, you watch her and her little Yorkie go out kayaking.
So we got some questions still. We're getting distracted here. Penny
Sorry.
says, I'm driving my husband crazy because ever since watching your videos, my eyes are always on the sky.
I relate. I more oftentimes than not, if I'm especially in an area that I'm not real familiar with, like I'm traveling doing the shows, my eyes are always scanning, looking at the power poles, looking at the scenery, looking at the sky, and looking for wildlife, and that makes the drive so much more enjoyable.
Lynn says, do vets around the communities have your name so they can call you? How far away have you traveled to rescue a bird?
Yes, we've got 3 vets in the Cedar City area that we use. That also, like I said, we've been here for 46 years. Everybody in southern Utah knows who we are, and that we take care of critters, and so, like I tell people, we're literally on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help sick, injured, and orphaned wildlife. And so everybody knows what we're doing. What was the second part of the question?
How far have you traveled to rescue a bird?
How far? Clear up into southwestern Wyoming. And I've had some come from Colorado and southeastern Nevada. So just basically right here in the western states. There is an issue with interstate transport of federally protected species, and so you have to get my state Fish and Game, the other states Fish and Game, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service all kind of involved to be able to bring them across state lines. So it's a little complicated.
Lisa asks, now that summer is over, is it not as busy at the rescue center?
Yeah, now that summer is over, the babies are all gone. A week or so ago, we released all the Swainson's hawks back to the wild, and that was the last of the baby hawks that were released. And so the babies, the orphans, that kind of stuff are all done for the year. But we still have the migrants. I had a sharp-shinned hawk come in a couple of days ago that hit a window, and it's recovering. And then we just had the squirrel come in.
Its mother got run over, and it's not quite weaned, and the baby squirrel was pretty dehydrated, and so I think we can get it back to where it's ready to be released in a couple of weeks.
And so this is the time. The migrants haven't started moving through in large numbers yet, but the young ones are all gone. And so if there was ever a quiet time, we don't really have quiet times. If there's ever a quiet time, this is kind of it.
Well, that's what it's like. No spring open houses, no Christmas open houses. We're too busy then. So we decided we'd try October. And the reason we chose October 11th is because it's just 2 days, October 13th? Is that the Indigenous Species Day?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So But Martin actually suggested that when he was talking to DG about having an open house. That we just decided that's a good day. The second Saturday of October, we will try and do an open house every year, so that way people will know ahead of time.
So we had a comment back when you were getting Piper. M127 said Piper piping.
We could hear him. Yes.
Yeah.
He was talking.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Are you piping?
He gets excited whenever I go to pick him up because he knows that he gets to go play, and so as soon as I start walking toward his perch, he kind of bends over, leans like he wants to jump to me, and starts getting vocal to get up on Dad's glove, and so that we're going to go out and let him play.
Ever videoed him doing that when you go to pick him up and he's talking and eager to jump? Did we get some video of that last year? If not, we'll have to get some new video.
I don't remember
for the Indigenous Species Day.
Lisa says Piper always makes me smile.
Piper makes everybody smile. He really is. One of the nicest prairie falcons I've ever seen. We love his personality. And usually with the prairie falcons, because they're indigenous, we will pull one from the wild, we'll fly it for a year, and if I really, really, really like the falcon, I'll fly it for a second year before we reintroduce it back to the wild. And then at 3 years old, it's old enough, it's sexually mature to actually find a mate and find a territory and raise babies. And so if I don't particularly like the falcon, if it's too high strung or nervous or difficult, then a year is fine and they go back to the wild. And that gives them a far better chance of survival in the wild than they would otherwise. But Piper here has been just one of the nicest prairie falcons I've ever met. And, we're still planning on, it's called hacking back to the wild, returning back to the wild after the falconry season. And if we do this one, I will miss because I've really enjoyed him.
So this winter, end of the season, February. It'll be your second year flying with you. Enjoy every minute of it.
Rondo says, I think we have prairie falcons in Northeast California.
You do. They're a desert falcon. And so anywhere we have, vast open areas, especially if you've got sagebrush and if you have small cliffs. They don't like big cliffs like the peregrines do. They like smaller cliffs. But they like a lot of open sky.
I think this might be a comment back to Indigenous Day. She or she also says hummingbirds are only native to the Americas.
North and South America.
Yes.
We have more in South America than we have and they travel back and forth. It's amazing.
Hummingbirds rock. They'd be an awesome third year.
I think so. I think that would be great. I think we have only a few species in North America. We'll have to look up what they all are. I think we've got about 5 that frequent Utah, maybe 7.
Mm-hmm.
Edward says, Martin, you were born to do this.
Well, I'd like to think so. Like I said, this is my only talent. Is I'm very, very comfortable working, especially with wild animals. God knows you don't want me to sing. I have no other talents, but I'm pretty good at working with these critters.
Stoic Mom says, Susan, thank you for being the wind beneath Martin's wings. What a team. Volunteers, you rock.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's truly amazing.
Yeah, we're like way over. It's 20 minutes over now. So shall we wrap up?
Yes, unless there's another question. I hate to leave somebody without answering the questions.
Okay, one last one. Patricia, I have a question. Do all eagles have yellow eyes and other birds of prey have dark eyes?
I can't speak of all eagles because we have an awful lot of exotic eagles. And even the golden eagle, like Scout, has yellow eyes, but he doesn't get those yellow eyes till he's about 4 or 5 years old. Prior to that, his eyes are brown. And so that's a good question. I'll have to look. Seems like the harpy eagles that I worked with did not have yellow eyes, so I don't know for sure.
Okay, so we got the URL up there.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for visiting with us, and my goodness, putting up with me for the last 28 years. That means a lot to us, and
Thank you.
we'll try to keep this going.